5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Takano. I rise today in support of my bill, the Gold Star Spouses Leasing Relief Act. This bipartisan bill would support the widows and widowers of our fallen heroes by allowing them to terminate residential leases without penalty in the wake of a service member's death. This issue first came to my attention when I met a Gold Star spouse, Kylie Riney of Farmington, Illinois, which is in a central part of the congressional district that I serve. Kylie's life was forever changed on October 19th, 2016, when her husband, Sergeant Douglas Riney, tragically died defending our freedom in Kabul, Afghanistan. Kylie and her 2 young children, James and Ella, were living in Texas at the time. This is their beautiful family before tragedy hit. They had moved there when Sergeant Riney was assigned to Fort Hood before deploying in support of Operation Freedom Sentinel. After her husband's death, Kylie chose to be back in Illinois with her family, surrounded by those who she loves and love her, so they could mourn together in this inconceivable loss. But in the wake of this tragedy, their landlord refused to allow Kylie to terminate the lease that she and her husband had signed. I mean, it's just hard to even get those words out, but refused to allow them to get out of their lease. The families of our fallen heroes have already sacrificed far too much, and we should do everything in our power to ensure grieving spouses receive the support that they need. For this reason, I was proud to introduce this common-sense bipartisan bill, the Gold Star Leasing Relief Act, and I want to thank my colleague, Congressman Brad Winstrup, who's also an Army Reserve officer and a physician, who helped introduce this with me. I'd also like to thank Chairman Rowe and Ranking Member Tim Walz for their work to bring this to the floor. Currently, the Service Member Civil Relief Act protects service members from lease termination fees when they deploy or receive a permanent change of station. Our legislation narrowly extends that law's residential leasing protections to the surviving spouses of service members who are killed while serving their country. Ranking Member Walz helped ensure the bill would protect all these families, including those who have lost a member of the those who lose a member of the National Guard or Reserves. He has been a tireless advocate for the National Guard in Congress, and it's a pleasure to be able to work with him. I can hardly think of anything worse than taking advantage of a grieving widow or widower whose spouse made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. I ask my colleagues to support this bill to ensure this does not happen.